thank you for the opportunity to be here. I guess the thing I was going to have a little chat about today was just some of the, how to systemize some of your planning to come up with game plans, analysis, and all that sort of thing. Obviously, at the moment, I'm sitting over here in New Zealand in the middle of summer. Everybody's still going to concerts, beaches, and all that sort of carry on. It's been pretty stinking hot. So I know over that side of the world, it's snowing a little bit. So two totally different situations here. It's 10 o'clock Sunday morning over here, and I believe it's 4 p.m. Is it Saturday over there? Yeah. Cool. Okay, what I'd actually like to do is probably get a lot of you guys talking and giving me a little bit of feedback on what you understand and what you don't understand, and see if we can come up with an understanding of a process to put plans together. So, is it okay if I just share my screen here? Just press this button here, I think. Okay, there we go. Share. Is that working for me?
Nope.
No.
You need to select, when you hit share, then you have to click on, there's a little picture of your screen. Click on that.
Yeah.
And then when you hit share again, you have to select that option though first. There you go. That's perfect. Now you're sharing your screen.
Cool. Now let me just see if I can pull up my little presentation here. Now, sorry about that. I'll just get this is the one I'm after. So can everybody see that?
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to go to the start here, and I'll keep pulling in and out of it. So first of all, if I just put that little screen up, it's a little bit of a, I guess, a template I like to use when I look at planning for a season. So the 4 big areas we look at planning for. First one is coaching attributes. So it's first of all understanding a little bit about yourself, what your strengths and weaknesses are, what you're good at, what you're not so good at, and so you've got a place to start working on yourself. The second thing I like to make sure we plan for is relationships. So that's, I think Mike was talking before about the relationships with players and that sort of thing. But it's also, I guess, upward management when you're looking at people like CEOs and maybe controlling things, or people that hold the purse strings, your managers. In some environments, it's also about players' partners, players' families, all that sort of thing. Down the bottom left-hand corner, I've got a title that says environment. And what I always look at doing is working on 3 different environments. The first one is the one-on-one environment. So that's around relationships again. You like players to feel comfortable with you, and you've got to differentiate between, the rugby conversations or the rugby relationships and the personal relationships, all that sort of thing. So you want them to be very comfortable with you. The second environment is your team environment, team culture. And I think I've heard a quote that culture is 8 times more influential on an outcome than all your system structure and all that sort of stuff. So making sure you've got a real solid team culture is pretty important. And the third one is your training environment. So what do your trainings look like? Is there intensity in them? Is there purpose in them, and all that sort of thing? Okay, and the last little thing, which is the area I'm going to talk a little bit more about today, is the system. So systemizing everything gives people security. If they know how things work and how things happen, then people tend to feel a lot more comfortable. Okay, and then in the middle there's basically just a little diagram there, your coaching actions, the content that you've got, the method you use to deliver that content. So that becomes a little bit about your pedagogical processes that creates the influences, and you get the quality and results coming back the other way. Okay, I'm going to talk today a little bit about some of the principles of the game and how we coach around principles. So there's a little quote there. As to methods, there may be a million and then some, but principles are few. The man who grasps principles can select his own methods. The man who tries methods, ignoring principles, is sure to have trouble. And hopefully as we go through this presentation, you'll get an idea of how that all works. I think with rugby, rugby's supposed to be creative. If we were all doing the same things, then it would look pretty boring. But if you stick to some principles, how you actually implement those principles that should relate to the people you have in front of you or the teams you have in front of you. Okay, so just the first thing, if I can just sort of come out of this thing a bit. Just want to throw it open here a little bit. If someone can give me an idea of what some of the principles of what they think the principles of rugby are. So if we're looking at attack first, what are some of the principles you guys might work off?
Maintain possession.
Okay, maintain possession. I'm just going to write these down on a piece of paper in front of me, and then we can discuss them all. Possession, yep. Any other?
Recycle.
Recycle, yep. Cool. That's good.
Move forward.
Go
Anything
forward.
else? Go forward. Cool. Anything else?
Scoring.
Scoring's pretty important. I might actually write that one in down here.
Support.
Cool. Anything else? Support. Go. Anything else you got there?
Continuity.
Cool. Nice. Someone said go forward up here.
Overlap.
Overlap. Yep. I would say probably come into support.
Okay.
And I'm just going to add this one here.
Game position.
At the top. So if I have a look at if you guys have done things like the World Rugby courses, if I just go back a little bit, I'll just stop sharing my screen for a second. Does that work then? If I can go back to... Oh, that's good. It's good to see people again. Okay, so if go back in, I just had a little bit of a story. Back in 1990, I was working for. I got a job as a young fella, and I was working for Auckland Rugby Union. And as a group, it was the first province in New Zealand that decided to have these things called rugby development officers, or in those days they were called coaching coordinators. And there was a group of guys there that put together a coaching program. And when we were in this meeting, they're all talking about, well, how can we structure these coaching programs? And what they came up with was these basic principles of rugby. So if we look at gaining possession, going forward support, blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. At that stage, there was a guy called Lee Smith. And Lee was working for New Zealand Rugby as a coaching director. And he visited us and he had a look at what was happening. He actually took the concept of the principles back to New Zealand Rugby, and he started writing a lot of coaching programs around the principles of play. So they're all hanging on these principles of play. He was in rugby for about 6 years before he then moved on to World Rugby. And World Rugby then started producing the World Rugby coaching programs that have now gone right around the whole world, which is all based on the principles of play. So a lot of you guys would have done the things like the level 1, 2, 3, the sevens courses from World Rugby. Is that, just give us a thumbs up if you have done that sort of stuff? Yep, so you would have heard about all those principles of play there. So that's originally where they actually came from. And I've got a book here that I don't mind posting over, a copy for everyone. Which is Lee Smith wrote this. It's around the principles and just how to do an analysis and all that. So if I can figure a way, Jesse, to get that over to everyone, I'll send a copy for everyone there. But it just breaks down the principles and how you can apply them. And that's what I want to try and have a look at today. So on a lot of these courses that you do, the principles of play are mentioned at the start, but then they don't really push forward and show you how to use them. So that's what I'm trying to do a little bit of there. Okay, so if I just go back and share my screen again, and we'll go through And we're going to just principle, gee whiz, let's just save that. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to go through the defensive principles. Just help me out here. If you've done any of these courses, what's the first principle?
Stay flat.
Say that again.
Stay flat.
Stay flat. Okay, cool. I'm just
Apply,
writing these down.
apply pressure.
Apply pressure. Cool. I'm going to write that down on a piece of paper too, and I'll put them all back on in that little diagram shortly.
Stay connected.
Connected.
Contest position.
Contest. Okay, I'm going to start off with that one there. Cool. And I'll just write that down. What else we got?
Dominate contact.
So contact.
Go
Yep.
forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I just flick back here. So if you look at that first principle, the game possession, on the opposite side, the defensive side, they're trying to contest the position. On attack, where we look at going forward, on defense, we also look at coming forward. So what's the definition of go forward? How do we measure it?
Space.
Space, yeah. We can close the space. How do we know if we've won the go forward battle?
If you make it past the gain line.
Cool. So if we use gain line as a definition of go forward, so if I'm on attack, I'm looking across the gain line. If I'm on defense, I'm looking to try and stop the attack from getting that gain line. Okay, the third principle there on attack is support. So what I'm going to chuck in here, we need the defensive support as well. Okay, this one here, we talk about continuity. What is it? What part of the game is continuity? Do we look at coaching? Any ideas?
Maintaining possession.
Yeah, and what area of the game do we maintain it?
Breakdown.
In the breakdown.
Breakdown. Cool, breakdown. So if we put something here around breakdown, and what I'll put here, so someone already mentioned about applying pressure and that. So I want to write here, prevent territory. And that will put like the tackle. So we're looking at the tackle quality. If we do that, and we're looking to regain the possession, and then we're looking to counter attack. Okay, so I have a look at those principles there. And those principles there, they all sort of align to each other. So you gain possession. On the other side of the game, you're contesting it. Okay? Where do we actually gain possession? This might be a little bit cryptic at the moment, but hopefully it all falls into place once we get a good understanding. Where do we get the ball?
Set piece.
Set piece. Cool. So if I go down here, this next slide, if we look at the principles, there's only 8 areas of the game in which we have to plan for and coach. Okay, now someone already mentioned set piece. So those set pieces would be scrum.
Line out.
Line out. Whoops. And
Kick-off.
kick off. Okay, so if I go back to these principles again, gaining possession and contesting possession, we just coach these 3 things. So if we're looking at gaining possession at scrum time, can somebody just tell me what type of ball, what do we want from our scrum?
Do you mean to contest possession or to maintain
If
possession?
we're on attack, so we're looking at an attacking scrum, we're coaching our scrum. What's our objective? What do we want?
We want clean ball so we can do what we want to do with it.
Beautiful. So what you're saying there is if we're coaching a scrum, we do all these things with our tight head props, our pushing, everything's contributing towards getting good, clean, square, steady ball so we can attack. Okay, if I'm coaching a defensive scrum, what am I trying to do?
Disrupt.
Exactly, disrupt. So we just want them to have crap ball. We don't want them to have clear ball. So we don't necessarily have to win the ball, but we want to push them back over the top and maybe twist them a little bit. So that's where your tactics come in. Line out, what do we want from there?
Quality ball again.
Pretty much the same thing.
Okay. So what we're looking at in all those set pieces, we want to get possession of top quality ball. Now, on the other side of it, if we're looking at defence, we put together defensive lineouts. Okay, now those defensive lineouts may not always win the ball, but what we want to do is disrupt opposition's ball. If they're taking a lineout ball and they want a maul, we're trying to force them into tap it back so that they can't maul. Okay, if they're looking to launch a nice attack off let's say a ball going to the middle of the lineout, beautifully delivered on a 45-degree angle to the halfback so he can run onto it and throw a flat pass out. What we're trying to do is make it so that they get the ball, it's untidy, so the halfback has to pick it up off his boots. So that's what we're looking at when we're coaching the defensive set pieces. If we're looking at this one here, the principle of go forward, what are we actually coaching in that? What part of the game? Any ideas?
Open play.
We could be looking at open play, but even before that, because remember, we've got to get the gain line. We have to get the gain line as soon as we get the ball, we want to get gain line. So what I'm going to do is just write in here, and I'll write strike, for example. So what that means is we do a lot of work on attack, from set piece play. So if we get in a line out, a ball from a line out, what are the back moves we're going to have? What's our kicking strategy? So you need to get the gain line first. So we spend a lot of time coaching that. I guarantee you, the backs coaches go away and they practice all their moves, and that's all just to get gain line from a strike. So once we get gain line, then we can start building our phase play. And same with the defence. So we're looking at first phase defence. The loose forwards know exactly what they're doing coming off a scrum. They know what they're doing if there's a blindside strike. They know what they're doing if they're receiving a kick and that sort of stuff. So we coach a lot of that sort of stuff as well. The next area we're going to coach after that, so that's is our under. Sorry, if I just go back to here. If we're looking at support, what do we coach?
Like moving without the ball. I'm not sure the best way to phrase that.
Yeah, you're right.
Would it be spacing?
Yeah, spacing. Perfect. So what we're coaching at this area is like our phase play. So we can have systems, or what do we call it? Our attack systems. Are people familiar with something like a 1-3-3-1 shape across a field?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Or we sometimes we structure plays, we sequence plays. We might play same way. So all this phase play is just a way so players know where to go, so they're always in support. We coach things like our kick chase. That's phase play. So it's a system that we're coaching. Okay. Now it's likewise on defence. We have systems. Phase defence. You know how we coach our ruck defence, what we put around the edges of the ruck. How many people go on the open side and the blind side? How many people fold around the ruck? How many people stay on one side? When they've got more numbers and we've got less, how do we defend that? So we coach all those sorts of patterns. Okay, is any questions there? Cool. All right, the next thing we coach is a really important part of the game, which is the breakdown. Okay, so if I go back to these principles, when we look at continuity on attack, what we're looking at is the tackle, taking the ball into contact, the clean out, okay, the accuracy of the clean out and all that sort of stuff. If we're looking at defense, what we're looking at is a defensive tackle. So that could be tackle technique. It could be, if you want to coach, two in the tackle, a double tackle. Okay, so they're coming out of your defensive system to make the tackles. And then the next part, which is also in the breakdown, is how do we regain that? What are the things we coach in regaining the ball from a breakdown? Any thoughts? Everyone's so quiet.
Would you mind repeating it, Darryl? I'm sorry, my dog jumped on me and I missed it.
That's okay. So when we're coaching the breakdown and we're looking at this defensive principle, regain possession, what do we actually coach to regain possession at a breakdown?
Like a poaching skill?
Yes, beautiful. Like the poaching skill.
Body height.
And what else? What's that?
On your feet quickly.
So I didn't quite hear that, but what I was actually looking for was that we start coaching the counter ruck. Looking at opportunities to counter ruck, get underneath the opposition, push them off your own ruck, etc., etc. So that area there is also around the breakdown. Now, the last thing we're going to coach, this one here, transition. The transition would be, we're on attack, we lose the ball, suddenly we've got to go into defense, and we have systems to get into defense quickly. The other one is the opposition's got the ball, we counter ruck, we get it back, now we're into counter attack. Okay, so those are the 8 parts of the game we would look at coaching. So can anybody think of anything else they think we might actually have to coach outside of those things?
Where do you put,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
where do you put penalties? Is that just part of attack or part of defense or something like that?
Yeah. So if we've got an attacking penalty, okay, and if we were going to take a tap and go, so that would sort of, I guess, in a way, would come into that set piece bit.
Okay.
So it's just the start of play. So the first thing we want to do if we're going to tap and run is we want to get some go forward. Okay, or we're kicking to a touch line. Okay, and starting off with the line out. But it's a good point, coaching set piece, tap penalty, different plays from tap penalties is pretty cool because, if you're struggling at line out time, the last thing you want to be doing is kicking the ball out, isn't it? So you have other strategies. Is there anything else you can think of that we might coach?
I have a question for you, Darryl.
Yeah, sure.
So in terms of this, what you're talking about right now, what you coach, how much of your coaching is focused on like your set systems that you have, and how much of it is focused on adaptability and like having to adjust to things that don't necessarily match the systems you have?
Sorry, I just couldn't hear you properly there.
Sorry about that. How much of your coaching is focused on your set systems that you create, and how much of your coaching is focused on being adaptable when those set systems get interrupted?
Okay, to be fair, everything's based on playing what you see. So you have to make decisions. Okay, so although we can go into a game with a set plan, if the opportunity opens up, we've got to take it. And the decision-making side of things, is it okay? I'll just stop sharing the screen for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of talking to a blank screen, so it's good if I can just get back on here. Okay, we're all back there. So I guess one of the biggest things we look at doing is just trying to coach the decision-making. Okay, so when you start looking at playing, so you've got your training, you might do all your set piece scrum stuff, your line out stuff, and then you practice your back moves and all that. But when we're training, we want to put them into two-sided games, so that the defense is having to make decisions and the attackers having to make decisions. So we start coaching that decision making. So although you may go into a game with a plan, if suddenly an opportunity opens up, you have to take it. Yeah. So I guess the structure, having a little bit of structure, actually gives you the opportunity to actually see those opportunities. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Right. If I just jump back into this again, and I'll just quickly move through this a bit quick because I'm just looking at that little time thing there. Yeah. Okay. The next thing, if I just quickly go through this, so those are the 8 areas of the game we have to coach. Scrum, we need a solid scrum. We need a good line out, or if we, on the other side of it, we're trying to disrupt the opposition. Okay. Attack strikes. Yep. If we're looking at scrums, we can also include things like our number 8 plays. If our number 8's carrying, we coach all those sorts of things, the technical aspects of a number 8 being able to pick up the ball accurately and get gain line. Defensively, what we do from set piece, in phase play, how we actually work our players around the field, both on attack and defence. Then the breakdown is a huge area we need to coach. That includes our tackling, our taking ball into contact, our ruck work, and then there's also the transition. Okay, the next thing, if we're going to break down this even further, okay, if we go to this little thing here, if I was looking at the line out, so let's say we've started off with the principle. I'll go back to here. We started off with the principle. We're gaining possession. Okay, the part of the gaining possession we want to coach is the line out. We break that down even further. So we look at each of the roles in the line out. So I'm just going to quickly put this in here. If anybody disagrees with me, just yell out. So the things we have to coach, the individual roles in the line out, we have to coach the thrower. Just chuck some more in for me there if you
Catcher.
can. Catcher.
Lifter.
Catcher.
Lifter.
Jumper. Yeah, and we'll go we'll go front lifter.
Back lifter.
We go back lift. Anything else? Whoops.
Your scrum half, whoever's going to get the ball out.
Yeah, okay. I'll put distributor there, maybe. Anything? And the last one I'll put here is the caller, so he's often quite important, okay? So if we're coaching our teams, and so I just want to have a look at this process here, and I'll just reiterate this. Okay, if we're looking at gaining possession as the principle we're focusing on, the part we coach in gaining possession is our line out. Okay, now we're looking at our roles, our thrower, our catcher jumper, our front lifter, our back lifter, our distributor, and our caller. The next thing, if I break that down even further, what we start looking at is the actual skills that we have to coach the individual in. So I've already filled these in. So if we're looking at the skill factors for a back lifter, we're looking at the comms. And I've written these in. They could be different for you, for other people. I'd like them to start in a neutral position. Okay, so that the opposition doesn't know who's jumping. When they turn to go into the lift position, there's the outside leg moves in, so they only move in one step, so it's nice and quick. Bend at the knees, grip with the hands fully open, thumbs inward, drive up explosively through the legs, keep the head in a neutral position, and then they lock out. Okay, so right, I'm just gonna, if it's okay, I'm just going to sort of come out of that thing there. Again, okay, does that all make sense, what I'm saying at the moment? Okay, so we've gone from a principle to a part of the game we want to coach, to a role within that part, which was we're looking at the back lifter, and now we're coaching all the little detail within that. So we can do that with every position. Okay, so if we were looking at let's just say we're looking at the principle of go forward. Okay, and we're looking at our back attack. We want the ball to go through the hands to the wing. What would the roles be there? Can anybody just give me a little idea of how we'd apply the same stuff? So
Yeah,
who's got it? Yeah, mate. How would we go through that? What are the roles?
Distributor.
Yeah, distributor. Yeah.
I don't want to answer all the questions. You got your decision
Okay, we may have some decoy runners potentially, or option runners,
maker.
and we may have a penetrator, etc., etc. So then, if we're looking at a distributor, just tell me some of the skills that we'd like for this. We need a coach with this distributor.
Catch and pass.
Right, so we go right back to the real detail of catch and pass. Okay, and if we're looking at catch and pass, we might be talking about making sure they have their hands out towards the ball, that their hips are square, that when they do make the pass, they're staying nice and square so they can fix the opposition. Okay, follow through with the hands. Okay, so that's a real simple process, just of simply breaking the game down. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, next question is, how do we use that process to analyze our team during a game?
Mm.
We're watching our game, things aren't going so well. What do? We've got this process in our mind. What do we do?
I think you probably make a decision whether it's the skill level or it's the unit continuity level or where it's at.
Beautiful.
Where is it not working? Is it not working at the skill level? Is it not working at continuity of a unit or continuity of play? Something
Cool.
like that.
Cool. That's awesome. So if I'm looking at a game, the first thing I want to do is I look at, okay, where is this stuff breaking down? So let's just say we're in a situation like, we're getting lots of ball and the bloody wing keeps dropping the ball every time we get it out there, or we're standing flat-footed. Okay, what I want to do is go through the process first. First thing is game possession. What is our possession like? Because you might find that the reason they're all flat is because the quality of possession we're getting from the set piece is really poor. Our halfback's always under pressure because the scrum's coming back on the tight head side. Okay, then if I want to fix that up, the first thing, before I start looking at what the wingers are doing out there and the backs are doing, I've got to fix up that set piece. So I have a look at my scrum, and then look at all the roles. Okay, the roles of the loose head, the tight head. So as I said, like just then, the tight head's going back. I have a look at what he's doing. I just want to chuck it out there. What are some of the reasons the tight head side might be going back?
They're losing the engage.
Yeah, cool. Losing the engage. So we're now looking at some of the key factors, the skill factors of that tight end, what's happening in that scrum. So, he's losing the engage. So it might be his speed to engage, or it could be the lock
position.
To throw it in, or could be the loose forward on his side is not helping out at all. So his hips are squizzing out. Okay. So one of the solutions might be, okay, I've got a light loose forward and a heavy loose forward. The light loose forward, when he's on the tight head side, we struggle. So I'm not going to play open side, blind side flanker now. So as a coach from the sideline, I can say, look, number 6, big guy, I always want you on the tight head side. Okay, and what I want you to do is I want you to scrum outwards now. Okay, so just talk to my tight head about moving his head outwards, pushing outwards. Now we've got the big guy there, and that might just square up the scrum enough so that we get and we go to channel 1 ball. Does everybody know what I mean by channel 1 ball? Just a quick hook, and we get that ball moving really quickly. Now, if that's still not working, let's just say, for example, we're still not getting the gain line when we go through the backs like that. What's another option we could go to?
8-man pickup.
Exactly. Okay, so our first go forward from now on is going to be all off number 8. At least we can start playing the game. But if we keep getting knocked back behind the gain line because we're going to the backs all day, when we don't have the ability to do that in this particular game, then we're going to be in trouble. Okay? So does that make sense how we may be able to apply that in the game? Yep. So let's just have a look at the opposition now. Okay, we're going to play a team. And we find that we're putting a game plan together to beat this team. How would I look at the opposition? What are some of the first things I'm going to look at?
What's their pattern of play?
Yep, even before that.
What's their set piece like?
Great. I'd go straight to the set piece first. Can we disrupt that? Okay, what someone mentioned before about the engage, my bro, is he's slow on the engage, so we're going to take their scrum apart. We're going to take their line out apart. They've only got 2 throws in the line out. They go to 2 all the time at a certain area of the field. They're going to this position, so we're going to take that ball every single time. Okay, we played, I was coaching Manu Samoa back in 2012, I think it was, 2012, 2011, and we beat Wales up at Millennium. Up in Wales there, and it was supposed to be, it was meant to be a surprise. Everybody was saying, oh, what a surprise. But anyway, one of the things we actually looked at, they had 3 amazing players. There was a guy, George North, on the wing, a guy, Toby Faletau, that was playing at number 8, and a guy, Roberts, at second 5'8", 3 big guys. From every set piece, they got all their go forward. All the other guys weren't big guys, they weren't strong guys or anything like that. So when it came to defensively, all we did was we shut those guys down. Now, a few of the boys we had with Samoa, they were pretty big tacklers, pretty big hitters. So all they did is just hit George North, hit Jamie Roberts. Jamie Roberts ended up going off. I think he got concussed. George North disappeared, and Toby Faletau, he couldn't get any ground at all, and we ended up winning that game. And the simple fact of the matter is they only had 3 go-forward points. They didn't have a massive kicking game, but they had 3 amazing runners, and they put all their eggs in that basket. And so if we're looking at trying to break a game down and we haven't looked at the opposite, how do they get their go forward? Okay, first thing is set piece, then how do they get the go forward? Once you can stop their go forward, then you'll start, your defense is always coming forward. That's when you can start knocking them over. Okay, if the only way for them to get their go forward is the little chips and the little kicks, what's happening with possession? What are they giving you?
You get a lot of it.
Yeah, you get a lot of it. They start giving you the ball so then you can start to play. Okay, then we start looking at a different area. So if I refer back to that team, at that stage in World Rugby, we had the biggest pack in World Rugby, in International World Rugby, the biggest pack. It had props at 140-something kilos. I think our 2 locks are Philo Paulo, Dan Leo, they were big men, big loose forwards. And so what we did around the breakdown, we thought we'll throw more into the breakdown and we'll play very narrow. So rather than playing that wide game that everybody likes to, we're playing very narrow. And we got this philosophy that if we've got really big guys running at small guys, one-on-one, guys, good tackle technique, they'll take your legs, you go to ground. But what we started, made a little bit of a policy around our attacking breakdown, that our clean out was more important than our carrier. Our carrier just gave us the opportunity to hit someone. Okay, so what we started putting is a lot of big bodies on small bodies, shoulders on guys, coming into the breakdowns and all that sort of stuff, which really started to get to change the game to the way it suited our team. So our team was big and physical, so that's how we wanted to play. If we decided to play their game, which is running all over the field, and a lot of island teams like to do that, okay, it just doesn't fit the size of the guys you got. So when we changed that up, we started getting a few results around that. So that's how, if you're looking at the principles of play, you try to decide how can you achieve those principles with the people you've got in front of you, the teams you've got. How can you stop the opposition from doing these things like getting good possession, from getting go forward? How can you stop them with the players you've got? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. The whole concept of how they get going forward, I call it who are their danger men? Who are their guys that are creating stuff? Because the team will usually put stuff into place so they get those guys more ball and more opportunities. So kind of not only does it tell you who their danger men are, but how they're trying to get them the ball and stuff. So
yeah, good point. And I was saying before around we've got to coach decision making as well. And sometimes if teams are in that situation where, okay, we're getting the big guy to carry all the time or the powerful guy to carry on, and my role, I'm not the big powerful guy, I'm just a distributor. Okay, but if a gap opens up for me, I've got to take that. If they haven't coached that decision making, then it's easier to stop the big guys because they're getting the ball all the time. The other thing, who's doing the kicking, who are the kickers in the team. That's a form of go forward that we have to stop. Or we know if a certain player is getting the ball, there's an option. He's a run pass kick guy. You can tell by the way he stands that he's going to kick. Okay, so we can get ready to receive that. So we're starting. So when we analyse, all we do is go through and check off the principles. Okay. Okay. What I wanted to do was just show you a couple of little clips, and I'll get you just to have a look at it, and then just give any feedback or base it on the principles. Okay, so you might say, look, the set piece was good. They got the first go forward. They're good support there. But what I'm concerned about is their breakdown, their cleaners. Okay, their cleaners are not good, and this is how I would fix them. So let me just find that clip for you. Just sorry. Have you got my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so it's just a little game, Canterbury versus Counties Manukau, and okay, just any feedback on that first? So if we go right back to the start, right back to the set piece. In any comments?
The ball didn't come out super clean or quick, and I think that caused a delay because you could see in the attack by the time it got out wide, they were still pretty flat-footed, and their defense was coming up so hard she just got crushed, 10 meters back from where they started.
Okay, beautiful. So if I have a look at this, if I go right back to the start here, can anybody tell me anything? Can you see anything in that shot there?
The hips are very uneven.
Beautiful. Yeah, great. What about this bit here?
Straight leg.
Can you see my little pointer thing?
No pushing. No.
Yeah. Okay. So we can see that.
No pushing power. She's already extended.
Carry on. Yeah. So there's nothing there. Nothing there at all. It's hard to see, but we can see this side over here. This tight head is already up in the air, so they're going to struggle.
Yeah, she's having a bad day.
Yeah. So if I was Canterbury, the first thing I'd go, man, we've got some issues with our scrum. Okay, and I'm not going to be able to go wide from here. This is going to be a problem. Okay, but they take it anyway. So I'll just see if I can just move this forward a little bit. So you can see that tight head's coming right up. It's horrible distribution. There's no go forward there. So when we look at go forward, one of the things I would coach here is this halfback is running laterally. Okay, if she's still going to pass to the right, I'd say, no, I want you to at least get across even that line there. Okay, because what it would mean is this person here, they can't all just drift off. They're asked questions. Okay, if we go a little bit further, they got this flash move. Now, what's the role of this player here? Anybody?
Option.
Any idea? No, that's an option runner. Did anybody buy that option?
No.
They're not even looking at it. Okay, so that's inaccurate. Okay, if we're looking at a skill set here, where do we want to be catching the ball?
On the ground.
On the go.
Yeah, certainly not there with someone coming to put their shoulder on you. Okay? So if we go to that, we can see there's a number of issues there. Okay, that pass there. Ball's gone pretty loopy and high. But if I was to fix one thing here.
Give it to the option runner.
Pardon? Yeah, I could give it to the option. Yeah, because no one was looking at it. Yeah, good point. But for me, this would be, if I was watching this game, I was coaching red, my major concern is I need to do something about this. Yeah, we've got no back play if we're going to keep trying to run off that. Okay, so either we go 8-9s, get the 9 getting across the gain line. So once we get that gain line, we've suddenly got go forward.
Hey, Darryl.
Yeah.
Jeremy here. Hey great
Jeremy.
Stuff. Hey, and also it just looks like they're married to the set piece play. There's no, like the scrum half's just not thinking like, we just got blown back. We're going backwards. Maybe the best option isn't to run this set piece. maybe I should just give it to we should give it to the crash ball up because we're going backwards and just reset our attack. But they were committed to this, to getting it to that wing the whole time, and you could see it.
Yeah. That's a perfect answer. That they didn't adapt at all. And if I was looking at a tactic, even any of you guys on there, what is a tactic you guys might look at here? Let's just say we can't fix this scrum in the game now. We're always going to get poor ball. How are we going to stay in this game? What's the next principle we need to go to?
And go forward.
Tell me, what's the next principle? If we can't get the position we want, what's the next principle we have to get right?
Go forward.
Go forward.
Go forward. So we've got to find a way to go forward off poor ball. And once we get the go forward off the poor ball, then we can get our support in place. We can start getting our continuity going, and then we can start scoring. But if we don't get quality possession and we also don't get go forward, then we're going to have no support anywhere. And as you can see, as this unfolds, when this poor girl gets hit out here, there's nothing out there to help her out. Okay? Mm-hmm. Right, is there any other discussion on that clip?
Yeah, if kind of piggybacking off of what Jeremy had said earlier, and with going forward, had they run more vertically or had the scrummy run more vertically for even a few more steps, it potentially could have drawn that defense towards that side of the field, because their defense looked really strong all the way across the field. And so if they had spent more time going forward on one side of the field, then maybe they could have opened up that side and used their wing, if that's
perfect
advantage.
Perfect, yeah. And what you're saying there is, again, if I bring it back to the principle, what you're saying is they had to find that way to get that go forward before they could do what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got one more clip, and so I know that time's getting on a bit here. So this is just another clip. There's a whole lot of stuff in this one here. Same game, and we'll just have a look through. And just any comments at any time, just chuck it in.
They went the whole way across the field. They didn't go forward.
Yeah.
Running to the space.
Their support is good.
Okay, any comments? I'll take the sound out and I can sort of go through it slowly if anybody wants to, anything they see.
It feels like Stripes is doing every one of the principles that you talked about, while Red and Black is not doing any of the defensive principles.
Yeah, sorry, I just lost you for a second. Yeah, everybody there?
LQB, Darryl.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a look at, I'll just go through, show you and say some of the things that I see. So first of all, there would be a little bit of concern for me around this line out. So the Stripe team was lucky. They got the overthrow. But, why is that going so fast? Let's see if I can slow that down. What I sort of see in here on this lift. Okay, so if I just want to pull that right back to the principle. So it's gaining possession. Now, when that line out throw is actually bungled up, there's got to be something wrong somewhere. It's either the thrower, the lifters, the jumper catcher, or the deliverer. So at this stage, can anybody see where they think there might be an issue here?
The front lifter, body position.
Yeah.
It also felt like Sorry.
Front lifter.
Someone said the body position of who?
It looked like the front lifter was kind of in a staggered stance. Her left foot looks like it's way behind her right foot. But maybe I'm.
And she's
On strike.
No, that's
hips are
cool.
facing towards the to space.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to mute the. Oh, there's a little button there. That'll be better. Yeah, good. Yeah. So what I see, and this is the beauty of these principles. Okay, we're looking at the principle of gaining possession. It's not right, but there's a whole lot of things there that could be fixed. Okay, for me, I would look at the back lifter. Okay, gets to that point there.
Locked out.
And one of the things I always coach with the back lifter is don't look up. Don't look up. Put your head forward and lock out. So you see the jumper goes up and loses a bit of stability there and gets all out of shape.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what we want them is plumb so that the height of the jump when the ball comes over. Okay, probably could get an extra few inches there if she had a sort of step right up underneath. Okay, so that's something we could fix, but luckily they got the overthrow. So when we're looking into ball into contact here, okay, one thing we might coach is don't run straight at a player. Try and find a little bit of space. Goes across a bit there, but turns in. The clean out there was really good, I think.
Mm.
So here's our breakdown. If I look at this bit here, I'd just be a little bit concerned here. And this is something I'd focus on a little bit, perhaps. As a halfback pass was a little bit slow. Big back swing before she throws it. Then they're very lateral here. At this point here, I look at the clean out. Player comes through here and goes straight to ground. So that ball slows down. So I can address that. Nice getting into space. Again, good clean out there. Finding space again. Finding space again. And this was interesting here. I don't know why, but all the red and black team came around to the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So, if we're coaching defence, they need to be looking up and numbering up. If you notice, they're all ruck watching, all looking at the ball. Looks like there's only two players. This is good decision-making here. If you see number 14 down in the bottom right-hand corner, send a message and it has to go the other way. Okay, and we're over there. So, and I'm just going to stop sharing there. Okay, so just having a look at a couple of clips. Is there any comments there on how we look at that game?
I mean, their support was good the whole way through. On the Stripes team, they had at least 3 people next to the ball in every breakdown.
Yep, cool.
Quick ball applies pressure to the defense.
Yeah.
Doesn't give them a chance to set, so they're having to make quick decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm just looking at my stopwatch here, and I'm running out of time. So what I want to do is try and bring it right back to the start. Okay, when I'm looking at a game, or when we're looking at a game, we really want to start systemizing things so that we see what we need to see. We see what's important. So a lot of times we can just see the little errors at the end and think, oh, damn, we need to tell this guy he needs to catch the ball or he needs to run onto the ball. But if we trace it right back, it might be that it was just a very poor set-piece delivery that put everybody under pressure. So in that little clip there, that last one I showed, when they got the overthrow, what's the first thing the person who got the ball did?
Ran forward.
Right, they ran forward, and that changed everything because they had poor set piece. Okay, but that little bit of go forward meant it put the whole red team on the back foot. They were the ones going backward. They won the gain line. What that person who got the overthrow could have done potentially, and a lot of people might do that, is they immediately turn and throw it out the back somewhere. So they throw the ball back to let them to try and go forward. Okay, but obviously in that team, the idea they have in their mind is we've got to just keep going forward. Okay? So I guess, is there any questions? So I guess that's my presentation. It's just it's a pretty, it's a really simple process. If you understand how to use those principles, then you can see the game, you can see the opposition, you can see where their threats are. And when I say you can see where their threats are, it's the important threats. Okay, a lot of people will see, visually high impact players that do all this running and all this go forward, but how do they get that ball? Okay, they get that ball from a good, solid set piece potentially. You take that away from them, okay, then they can't play. If that big player is the only go forward they get, okay, we gang up on them. We stop them getting go forward. We take their game away from them, okay? And our own team, let's have a look at who our key players are. Who gets us our go forward? Who can kick? A good example of that is I coached the Black Ferns at the World Cup in 2002, and England they just had kickers. They could kick goals from everywhere, but their game was all based around a kicking game. Okay, they had a great first 5'8" there. I just can't remember her name at the moment, but when they played teams, they just pushed them back against their own goal line, and they got penalties. My team, the Black Ferns, we had a player called Vanessa Coates, is still the top try scorer in international rugby, but she couldn't kick a ball. She just can't kick. So it came to that World Cup final. I didn't select her for the World Cup final. And anybody got any idea as to why I really couldn't risk putting her out there in a World Cup final against a team like England?
If she can't counter kick, if she needs to.
So, yeah. You had a team with a great set piece. They kicked the ball to the corners. If Vanessa had got the ball and they isolated her, she would have been in big trouble, and we would have been pinned against our goal line the whole time. Okay, what I did is I played a girl called Amelia Marsh, who was generally a first 5'8". I played her on the wing. Strong, she had all the speed and all that sort of stuff. But whenever they put the ball in the back, we out-kicked them. So we had kickers across the back three, plus our 10-12 were strong kickers, and our halfback. So we actually ended up having more kickers on our team than they had. So what it meant is whenever they put the ball down to us, we won that kicking battle. We won the go forward battle because it was always going to go into a kicking battle. And when we got that right, it meant we were playing the game at the right end of the field. It meant they couldn't kick the penalties, even if they did get them. Okay, but it was all based back to principles of play. We needed to get that go forward. Okay, is there any questions before I finish off?
Yeah. Darryl, I just wanted to say, I know a lot of people on the call, most of the people on the call are collegiate coaches, either men's or women's, and most of us have not coached in a long time because we haven't been able to. And I know I can start training again in a couple of months. We can go back outside, and I was starting to think to myself, like, do I remember how to do this? Like, do I still know anything about rugby? And just hearing, even though you coach at such a high level, just focusing on basics and not it's not as complicated as sometimes people make it out to be, that it's just as simple as the principles. And you can look at high performing players or low performing players, and you're still working on the same stuff. So I feel a lot better. And I'm kind of excited now. I haven't coached in over a year. I'm kind of excited to go back. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. With the principles, a few years back, I coached a team. It's called Roller Mills team. And how old are they, Scotty? They're about 12 or 13. Yeah, it's just young kids. And what we did is we weren't very good to start off with. And what we did is we just went through the principles of play, and we couldn't get any go forward. We had all our good go forward players in the wrong positions. They were playing props and stuff like that. So we changed guys like around number 8 to first 5'8". Okay, and because they were young, they still had they had time to grow into the positions. But because when they were at their clubs or their schools, everybody decided, oh, he's a number 8, he's a number 5, he's a number wing and whatnot. But if we were trying to build a game based around the principles, we had to have the right people in the right places. So we had to have a little bit of a meeting with all the parents and tell them, look, we've done a little bit of a profile on it. We just can't get any go forward at the moment, and that's the reason we're not going so well. So we may change your son into a different position. And once we explained to the parents around this principles of play idea, they bought into it. And the team, we didn't win the competition, but they did a lot better because we're able to now to start playing, start passing the ball around. So you did right. It just comes down to always the basics and trying to implement the principles. And as I said right at the start, as long as you get the principles in mind, you can achieve those principles in lots of different ways. That's down to your creativity. Okay.
Yeah, great, Darryl. Thank you very much for coming on and presenting on such short notice. You're brilliant. You take the complicated and make it very simple, and I really appreciate that. And thank you very much again.
You're most welcome. Most welcome.
Yeah. Anybody wants any of this information again? This presentation was